you could also get the aromas because breakfast is being set up. The tennis pros are strolling through. You can't see them, but we're seeing them. And if you look around too, you'll notice a nice little breeze whipping up behind us. I really hope
coming alive.
It's coming alive, and we're likely to get wet at some point if the forecast rings true. So that's what's happening at the club this morning. You don't see anything behind us, any other movement. We're facing the movement. We're facing the buffet line this morning, so trouble. The show is likely to be short. Let me give fair warning.
7 o'clock,
All right.
I think we need to take our break.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to take our first break of the day. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. And we do have, one or two guests and some interesting conversation lined up. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876 276 8935.
Okay, we're back.
All right. So welcome back to the Morning Connection, coming to you live from the Ligani Club in Kingston. This is Best 100 FM, and your hosts this morning, Minette and Lowell Lawrence. Pastor Percival continues to avoid us. That's what I'm calling it now. I had to call him myself this morning, and and I felt bad because I thought I woke him up. So Pastor Percy is adjusting. Once he adjusts to normal time and doesn't have to be up and about for a 6 o'clock show, Lord help us next week.
Schoolers.
Yes, so this morning we give fair warning. We are actually set up in the dining pavilion because the forecast said rain. And whose report do you believe? We didn't want to take a chance, quite honestly, because it looks quite overcast and it's a very moody looking day, reflecting my own mood somewhat. So we're set up in the dining pavilion. So expect noise. Ex- expect us to be distracted by food. And I told you, All Together Sing, one of Jamaica's, I would say, premier culture activities for the youth in the local schools, high schools, and even prep schools, because I've seen some young ones on it. And there are quite a few well established artists today who came out of that program, All Together Sing. That and Digital Rising Star
Yes.
have been producing
My mom.
one of her
One
favorite
of my mom's
favorite shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was.
All right. So all of that is what is happening here. But we do have a few things lined up for you this morning. JPS is back.
Yes.
We did a very interesting program with them last week, which still has me kind of, meditating on the implications for development. Last week they spoke about their developers conference. Remember, I thought it was software developers.
Yes.
I didn't realize they meant real estate developers.
We went on talking about lighting. Efficiency of
Yes,
lighting
yes,
and
yes,
so on. And I
yes.
think it's a very important topic because you find that sometimes people are setting up lighting in their homes and it is not as efficient as it ought to be. You know, if you use the right lamp or right light bulb, as you like to term it, you can ensure that you get the best coverage. So
Yes.
efficiency is key. You know, and I think that's one of the topics that we can explore with JPS at
Yeah.
some point,
Yes.
because it does have implications for energy conservation. So,
And for the overall health and well-being
yes,
of
definitely.
their customers.
Definitely. You look
If you're in a
at
better mood, you'll pay your bill
the
promptly.
type of light you use inside of your house
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to those you use on
Yeah.
the outside. Remember Daniel was telling us about warm lighting as opposed to what do you call the other? Well, the white light.
Oh,
as
the one.
opposed to-
Yes, yes. What was it he had said? Temperature and mood.
Yes. He did quite a
You did
research on
that serious research on it for.
impressive. But it is something that I think people should, because even how it affects your sleep.
Right. That's why I said the overall health. That background, what happens in your environment with lighting and sound
Yes.
are important parts of what keeps you sane the course of the day. And for example, of course, I announced yesterday that Radioland is about to get a fresh burst of energy.
Landish.
White noise. Why do I call it white noise? Come to think of it, I'm getting color sensitive. But the studies have shown that your background, your environment should carry a certain level of sound that helps to keep the mind at ease. And I suppose those who are interested in the sensory deprivation chambers, where you go and try to experience a moment of nothingness, people apparently will go crazy if they have to go for long periods of time without experiencing sound, touch,
Light.
light. Yeah. So, if we could get someone.
There are things like mood lighting.
Yes, yes,
Lighting
yes,
can
yes.
certainly affect your
Yeah.
mood.
Well, for example, this morning it looks overcast, and I'm telling you, it's pulling me down. Yeah,
So maybe we should get a
it
nice
looks gray.
floodlight.
All right, we can work on it. It's called the sun. See if you can find a substitute. At this point, we'll be looking at the sun on the horizon and admiring the sunrise. But here we are. The truth is, we, more than anyone else, have learned to be content with whatever day it is that, comes to us from the hands of God. You'd start by saying, "This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it."
And you will be the sunshine
I need something extra.
today. Gloomy day.
if
It's definitely gonna
Yeah, man, if Earl Brown were chatting to me, let me see if he is. He'd ask me about coffee, which I don't drink coffee, but it's one of those mornings when you feel like you need something else. Good morning, Delroy Henry. We're having a very UK kind of day,
Yes.
London kind of day, except for the breeze. Don't usually get a breeze there. You just get that flat gray look, which I have come to associate with Her Majesty's Empire. No, His Majesty. You know what? I'm not acknowledging that there's been a new. I'm just embarrassed that Jamaica fell in line with the whole business of the king is dead, long live the king, or the queen is dead, long live the king. All right, so I want to pick up on a few issues, Lowell, that we did not complete yesterday because I believe it's a real important issue. We, in the program we do, seek to expose the characteristics of God to our listeners. So when they need to pull something from the divine, they already have a foundation and an understanding that there is capacity in God for exactly the thing you need. So yesterday, as we were lining up for the prayer, there were two things that in my own spirit, and as I pull what I need from the divine, it was clear to me that our listeners need to understand that God, being a just God, ensures that all those who work on His behalf, doing His work, will be rewarded. Doesn't even matter what type of work. In this instance, He was saying through the prophet Ezekiel that when I set Nebuchadnezzar to go and inflict the punishment that Egypt needs or that Israel needs, or because Nebuchadnezzar was, well, Nebuchadnezzar and just the Assyrian kings, they were well used as the avenging hand of God. He says, when they do their work and are not paid because their work was for the redemption of the kingdom of Tyre. Tyre was like, I guess, London or New York or even Hong Kong. Massive economy built on trading and very sophisticated and very wealthy. They had ships that were going and coming and carrying and, very wealthy city. Tyre is represented in the prophecies of Ezekiel as carrying the same spirit which caused Satan to rebel and to be cast out of heaven. So naturally, if that's the spirit which fuels your economy and your decision making, it will come to the same conclusion as it did for Lucifer. So the prophecy was given against Tyre, and King Nebuchadnezzar and his army was used to bring that prophecy to fulfillment. And the Lord says, when you went in to teach Tyre a lesson, they didn't pay you for the lesson. So I am going to pay you because I'm the one who sent you in. I'm going to pay you, and I'm going to pay you by giving you the wealth of Egypt. And it's very clear in the scripture that that is what is being done. And I said then that I want everyone listening who's interested in these matters, who must know that the Almighty God maintains a balance between the nations.
And you know what is important? I mean, you're making reference to this, and for most persons who look at it, we see it as an historical account,
Yes.
which it really is.
Yes, but
If
we,
you understand the nature of God, you realize that if your behavior is similar to the behavior
Precisely.
of that nation,
Yes.
then you can expect that the outcome
will be the
will
same.
be the same.
And I love it how he makes a reference to the spirit
Yes.
of Lucifer.
Right.
And it's just to tell you that these things keep recurring because it's the same spirit, an eternal spirit, until he says otherwise. It's the same spirit that keeps influencing, directing, and causing men and women to fall into error. So
I think this is one of the things that I don't think a lot of people appreciate, because it is so important that you understand the nature of God.
yeah.
Because if you don't understand the nature of God, it's going to be difficult to interpret the word of God.
And even to anticipate, because everything is left there as a reference point for us, so we can be guided in our decision making and just don't keep making the same mistakes.
Earlier on this morning, I was reflecting on the discussion yesterday with our good friend.
About the women bishops.
You know what came to me?
Yes.
I'm saying, if the apostle and all our people, we're reading from the writings of the apostle Paul.
Well, he referred to the Apostle Paul, but you were praying. You prayed, and you were praying for our bishop, who has arrived in Jamaica. In fact, we have two bishops here from our church, one man, one woman. So I guess he
So
should
this is
feel.
what came to me.
Yes.
We knew the apostle Paul, right? He's a follower of Christ.
Yes.
Now, if he's a follower of Christ, Christ does not discriminate. Christ speaks to the fact that
And listen,
would you then be saying it's going contrary to Christ?
that's what he would be saying in his interpretation of it, in the narrow interpretation that he gave to what Paul said to Timothy.
Right.
If a man desires to be a bishop, then he should have one wife, not many wives. They're not saying that only men can be bishops, just saying if a man desires, which is what the caller interpreted it as saying. But right away online, and we have to be, I think it's nice to be balanced, because as he was saying that, Earl Brown was telling me that no, Timothy, the letter to Timothy says, if a man desires. Yes, it did not say that only men can. It was just setting,
Or you already didn't say when a man,
or
you know,
even if it said when a
Even if
man
it says
desires,
when, yes.
even in law, man include woman. And they tell you, where you see the male, the masculine gender, it includes the feminine, because
there's
we're
no
not trying to be
ambiguity
exclusive.
in the word.
All right, but yes. So it caused you were reflecting on it, and it caused you to think what? That you were starting to say, if the
just the
Apostle
fact
Paul
that
were to know how it is being taken today, I thought that's where you were going.
But that is also a part of it.
Yeah.
Because this is a
All right, I feel the rain now. Do you feel it?
Yes.
It's in the
Yes,
breeze.
It's in the breeze.
Yes, I can feel
This
it.
is a man who was so passionate about Christ and spreading the gospel.
But beyond that, he was also very appreciative of the women who worked in the ministry, and he referred to them by name. He's one of the few persons who referred to the women by name. The Bible is replete with references to women just by their gender. A woman, the woman with the issue of blood, the adulterous woman, our favorite, the Shunammite woman.
Right.
You just, well, Rahab got her name in it, but she was Rahab the prostitute. the women are not generally, women and children, they're just referenced. They're not given a name. But the Apostle Paul constantly referred to Timothy's mother and grandmother.
Right.
He referred to the other women who served in the ministry. He called them by name.
Yeah.
He thanked them for their service. He was lifting them up. Never would one say the Apostle Paul was insensitive to the efforts of women and the value that they brought to the ministry. So I think he would be horrified if today someone were to say the Apostle Paul felt that women could not be in ministry or that women could not take up offices for which they were already qualified.
Right. And we have come across a ministry that had a similar view where he said that women should not be
Women could not be pastors, but they could be ministers.
No.
Yeah, and they speak on the pulpit, but they can't be pastors. Anyway, that kind of backward thinking is not something which we even want to.
You want to encourage
Yeah.
these persons to just approach this thing with an open mind.
Yeah.
Let's not close our minds to the issue. I mean, we can talk about it. Yes, we might not be able to
Well,
do it on a rhythm.
Yeah. But Lowell,
But, you know, it's worth looking at it with an open mind.
but on this issue, beyond even what you think the Bible is saying, if you understand that God is a just God and a fair God, He would not set standards that are hurtful and discriminatory, meaning you penalize persons. I was pushed yesterday to just explain what the word discrimination means in the legal context, because it's not just having a different view that may be unfavorable of one gender over another, but discrimination involves penalizing the individual for the difference which you have identified. So it's not just that I think, oh, you know, I feel differently about this or that. I must then follow through with some conduct or some treatment of the person which imposes a penalty or a hardship or some suffering on them. Now, you might say, how will we know if they're suffering? You know when the person shows up at the table and says, I want to do this. And your response to them is, yes, you seem well qualified, but it's not for you. You're a woman or you're a man. And one of the reasons why in the development of human rights, which, as you know, comes from the natural laws of God, one of the reasons why discrimination is highlighted and addressed in a discrete and specific way is because the things that separate us are not things which we can change. So I come to the table and I says, I would like to rent your apartment. And you look at me, I have the money, I have need for the space, I'm otherwise qualified, but the color of my skin or my gender. And you tell me I can't. I couldn't go back, change and come in and say, well, all right, do I match now? That's why discrimination is unlawful and ungodly, because the point of difference is not something that the person can change.
Exactly.
Can't change my gender, no matter what it may look like in the books.
Like, you know, many continue
Yes,
to try.
I can't change my gender, I can't change the color of my skin, I can't change my height. Oh, we're on the break? So, yes, well, please stay with us. We're going to be back in a few minutes. The rain is here.
We're back.
Welcome back. Now, if you are observing or even hearing keenly,
Can actually see it
If-
in the background.
yeah, if
For
you're
those who are
observing, you can
watching.
see in the background that the rain is here and it looks like this is really hurricane season. You know, many times because our weather is consistently sunny, I forget that the hurricane season runs right down to the end of November.
Yeah.
And there are usually some, late life systems that just kind of pop up out of nowhere, we would say. But we have too much technology now to say that these things pop up out of nowhere. But there's always something that seems to come late in the day. Here we are. It looks like hurricane weather.
But, the forecast these days, it is so accurate.
It's really quite
I
accurate.
mean, when I saw it this morning, I say, something. That may not be one
You
of
knew
those.
not to take any chances. I mean, serious rain and breeze and so on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm making it up because right now it's fairly quiet. But we're trying to zip up and button down here at the club. Still a beautiful morning for you to come out and have some ackee and saltfish. There's always ackee and saltfish, it seems. Yeah, endless supply of ackee and saltfish at this club. Yeah.
Would get away with just getting the breakfast.
Oh dear. Anyway, we were talking to you before we took the break. We're just wrapping up an issue which came up yesterday. I am in no way, as speaking as a woman, I am in no way deterred, influenced, disturbed in my spirit by the many who still feel that women are disqualified from certain positions simply because of our gender. Don't bother me. I mean, the truth of the matter is, my mother had it harder than I did. And you know something? Even in these fairly modern times, when I was getting my first job as a lawyer, the offer that came to me came precisely because of my advocacy skills.
Yeah.
I was being recruited to join the litigation department of a premier law firm. And I was the first woman being hired specifically as a litigator.
Yeah.
They hired many women for in commercial practice and every other type of. But as a litigation lawyer, I was told that a first person who was being hired specifically with litigation in mind, and I understood that traditionally women were not considered for court work. You know, it was
Yeah.
regarded as a man's
Yeah.
area of work. Of course, now you can't avoid women in court.
I am curious to find out what about a woman cause her not to be able to carry out that.
All right, so that's where I was going before the break. That when persons express that viewpoint, I want them to move away from just the knee-jerk reaction of saying that's how it is,
Yes.
and consider on merit why such a thing ever was or should persist. My view of it, like where litigation was concerned, and I remember Justice Carey of blessed memory, and Justice Carey was in the Court of Appeal, I'll put it that way, because when I met him, he was already a significant person in the Court of Appeal. Justice Carey used to tell me about a particular litigator, female. She was senior in the DPP's office, and she was quite diminutive. She was a short woman, and Justice Carey said he used to be so amused when she took on the affectations of the men.
Yes.
The men would just toss their robe and put their foot up on the bench. There's like a bar that you know how you men like to stand and lean and put your foot up. And this woman would do the same. And she was very short. And he thought it was comical to see her trying to perform like the men.
Yeah.
So I drew from that there are certain things that make for a good performance in court, which the men do. Judges come to expect it, jurors expect it. There are many stories about legendary advocates whose theatrics in court formed a part of their effectiveness. Norman Manley. Yeah. People talk about the gesturing and the postures and the questions.
Right.
And then there's the whole rumbar piece of it. Half of the case is done in the rumbar. Whether it's before or after court, the camaraderie that existed between men who were popular at the bar was something they felt couldn't exist when the woman walked in. It's the same old thing that women change the atmosphere.
Yes, they take a little
it's true.
plant, they will bring a nice little flowery looking thing and
A
say,
doily. And they're dealing with the thing rough and the woman coming and want to paint it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you all need to speak better. No cursing at the bar. Yeah, take the fun out of it.
Raining and all
So,
parade.
yeah. So I know, as comical as it sounds, I think many feared that women would just take the fun out of it. And then women would then be a distraction too. Practicing in court now, part of the wear was the bib. Mm-hmm. The bib covers every inch of cleavage.
Oh.
So that type of,
Is that the...
you've seen my lace thing with
Yeah.
scratchy and there's Velcro snap at the back and you have to tuck it into your blouse and it goes down. Nothing of skin should be seen to be a distraction to anybody. And when we are trained, we are also told that our person shouldn't be a distraction. Do not, then the perfume too. Do not go into the judge's chamber with some seductive aroma wafting from your body and he's trying to say, is that patchouli? Do I smell rose? You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Or is that the scent of let me go free?
Or maybe you're wearing the fragrance that his wife wears.
Yeah.
And if he's truly in love with his wife, everything you say, he says, yes, lawyer. And if he really has a bad time with his wife, everything you say,
Wow.
he says, what nonsense is that? I am just being dramatic and
Yeah,
explaining.
but I'm really
I'm
thinking about
painting.
it seriously and say,
No, when a man walk in, a crusty man that they just had a drink at the bar, the only thing you have to worry about is lodge ring. It is beyond that. So, yeah, women entering certain professions, I always think, women in the army on the premenstrual or postmenstrual days when you would chew up anything inside. If they want to send you out to deal with the army, with the invading army at the time when you're in that nasty mood, well, I tell you, the victory is secure.
Yes.
But if you're in one of those weepy moods where you feel like every
Yeah, you know the men who like to the women cry.
no.
Freak out because
Good morning. Yes, we're reined in. But you can see, when I went to Cuba and saw at the Palace of the Revolution, and when they line up for inspection,
Yes.
right? That Fidel Castro was walking the line, and I see women, generals, senior women. I thought, how did they get to that? Were they out there in the bush?
But I tell you, just recently,
And what does it mean in the army? that
just recently,
you
we
have
were
such
driving
senior women?
behind one of the lorries
Yes,
from Upper Camp.
yes.
And I looked and I saw
Women
equally
soldiers,
scared.
yeah,
Women, I mean,
yeah.
just sitting in the back and chatting.
Well, let me tell you, it's a
I said, wow,
whole
look at
different.
that.
It's a different
I
thing.
mean, they're in their gear and everything.
Look very
The only
competent.
difference is that you can look and see that it's a woman.
Yeah.
But in terms of the dress and everything,
It's a soldier.
and I'm up there thinking, I'm saying,
Yeah, but then
wow,
think now
things have
of
changed.
being set up out in the bush now, and instead of all these men that can sleep on a leaf and pee behind a tree, and
and see
just imagine.
and see a spider not go.
No, I don't think the soldiers are going E, but I think the women are not gonna. Lord, they're gonna still wanna get their eyebrows done right, and they soldier.
Are you serious?
Oh, why not? I see women driving.
A camouflage.
And,
Oh no.
all right. So
Anyway,
the reasons why many people think this is not for you, Missy, there are many reasons. Some of them are quite comical. Some are based on just a misunderstanding of things. But I believe when you examine your reason for accepting that standard, you may find that your position will change. In the concerning the bishop, if you go through Timothy and look at the standards and just take away the one wife, if a man desires, he must have one wife. Take that out for the moment.
Yes.
Look at all of the other characteristics. Can a woman be sober minded? Can a woman have control of her household? Can a woman be knowledgeable about the word of God and apply it? Can a woman be sensitive and caring about, offer pastoral care? When you begin to look at the other things which have nothing to do with the gender-based, issues, there's no reason, none whatsoever,
Absolutely not.
why a woman could not carry out
Absolutely not.
those functions. So,
I mean, the brain power, pretty much
Yeah.
the same capabilities.
Yeah, may
And it
even
is
be
unfair.
higher.
You will have persons who would want to use you for your brain power.
yes, yeah, and push
And-
you aside and
yes,
not pay you.
Yeah. So they'll keep you in the back room, speak, but never be seen.
And bring the word forward.
or write or do whatever
Yeah.
it is. But
Like when,
don't present yourself.
when Beverly Manley revealed in her biopic or that documentary that the idea about free education, which Michael Manley implemented, that it came from her. It was her suggestion when he was considering what could I do that would send a clear message and just be very definitive on where I stand on these issues. And she said so and so. When mention was made of that, I understand it completely because there are many things that women will quietly say and organize in the background, and the credit goes elsewhere. But there's no doubt that when it comes down to it, men understand that women are equally capable. And only some women are disqualified. About the only real separation is the muscle density.
Yeah.
And there are some very tough girls out there who can bench press a man. And there's some very weak men out there.
No, there is,
So,
definitely.
yeah, we're not-
It's strange.
I go back
I
to
mean,
it.
the world has gone in such a state where you have men who are trying to become women.
Yes.
Anyway, that's
Right.
another story. Because
Yes,
this
please,
will take us
because
into a
I downloaded
minefield, actually.
I downloaded the Cotonou Agreement of 2000, to which Jamaica is being invited as a signatory. And I want to look for myself, I want to read how it addresses those human rights issues. Because I know as a person who drafts law and as someone who has worked on the interpretation of laws, I know that it could never be expressed in such a way as to require a country whose laws and moral standings don't embrace certain things. It would never be imposing another country's ideals on you.
Yeah.
The most it's going to do is say that you are not to violate, discriminate, harm, injure persons who are of a different mindset or
Right.
belief or practice.
Right.
And honestly, we don't need Europe to tell us that we shouldn't kill, torture, maim, imprison people because they look different, feel different, behave different. You set your laws are there. Persons who can live with it or can't live with it know what to do. But are you going to treat them in a more punitive fashion than you do other lawbreakers? Even now, as
Yeah.
we're talking about harsh mandatory sentences, there's an element in it that we have to be mindful of how far we go treating someone. Let's take, for example, when somebody picked ackes from the trees at Jamaica House and was given some kind of sentence. Suppose we get to the point where the sentence you receive is affected by the person whom you have wronged. Like when they're saying, if you curse a bad word to a citizen, a regular citizen out there, you tell him, go do whatever. And you show up in petty sessions court and you get fined $1,000, say. But if you say to a policeman doing his duty is $600,000
Yeah.
and time.
Isn't
Yes,
that
there
the
is
case
a
now?
there is a proposal about.
Is it a proposal or is it actually in effect?
It was being discussed as one of the amendments to the Road Traffic Act.
Right.
I don't recall. I can always check if it was put through, but it was meant to put some stiff penalties in place if you
to verbally
use
abuse.
contumelious language to a transport officer. It's one of the amendments that were being argued. I don't remember where it ended, but now that would be discrimination of a sort,
Definitely.
because you are now saying that you as a citizen being abused by another citizen,
Yes.
different matter from you expressing yourself, unfavorably, disrespectfully. You're saying that one is worthy of greater respect.
Yeah. That is discrimination.
And I do not believe, I do not believe
but-
that one is worthy of greater respect. If you think
Well,
that
let's
kind
look
of
at the
behavior is
reason
bad,
for it, though.
yes.
Let's look at the reason for it and see whether or not it is justified.
Mm-hmm.
Because it might be equally damaging to be viciously verbal
Mm-hmm.
against someone as it would be if you say strike them.
That is true. That's why assault is not just a physical act. Assault includes the use of language that gives you the same
And
fear
You're
as the
talking
physical
about
act.
a person who is there to uphold the law.
Yeah. Meaning
and
now
should
the
be
police, the
afforded
office.
a certain level of respect.
But should
while
that level
still-
of respect be higher than the respect given to? I think, so for example, you have resisting arrest.
Yeah.
I think there are some offenses
Yeah.
which you can create and prosecute in order to maintain the honor and dignity of the office. But if you now begin to say to citizens, how you express yourself to this one is different from how you express yourself to that one, you're starting a new argument. Even as I say it, I think of contempt of court. If you're in the court and you're addressed the judge in a certain way, the judge has the power to charge you with contempt.
Yes.
But even when that contempt is being, so the judge charges you with contempt and takes a certain action, you are still free to resist and defend yourself by setting out whatever your case is. And contempt of court, like any other criminal offense, needs to have a guilty intent, a deliberate intent to commit the offense. Most people who have diarrhea of the lips, it's not premeditated.
Yeah, but contempt of court, just that. It's not contempt of the judge.
Yeah, well, the court is an institution.
Right,
And
that's what
some
I'm
may
saying.
say that the officer doing his duty is an institution.
Right.
You know, don't see the man, see the uniform and what the uniform represents.
Right.
It's like the other day when someone wanted to refer to the prime minister in a particular way. I could feel that he was stripping the office of the respect that it deserves.
Right.
So he just wanted to refer to the holder of the office in a particular way. And now, if you in conversation or you're reading something and you say Andrew, that's not premeditated. That's not a desire to strip him of the honor that should go with the office he occupies.
Right.
But when you are deliberately saying, I'm not going to refer to him as Mr. because he don't deserve, you are now meditating on it and saying, I wish to disrespect him in his office. That's a different thing.
Right.
That's a different thing.
Personal.
Yes. So
That is personal.
So most persons, when they start to cuss and they just go off, it's not premeditated. It's a spur of the moment thing because of however you're reacting to something. So for me, it would not be just to punish a man because he loses it in the presence of the police officer and, go off on a tirade that might involve calling him unspeakable names.
Well, in a situation like that, I assume that you would look at the circumstances in order to determine what the punishment.
And I picked the word provocation out of your mind because provocation is a defense in law.
Right. Yes.
If you really, and sometimes those taxi
Leads to
drivers
things
and
like crime
others,
of passion and
right. And it always has the effect of reducing the severity of the offense. Yeah,
Yes,
if you're
yes.
provoked and you kill a man, murder is become
it's
manslaughter.
contributory.
It becomes, yes, in the civil sense. All right.
Contribute to your own.
Yeah. When you named Thursday's Free Flowing Thursday, because you were the one who gave it that name, you were being very prophetic because we've wondered. I have my things are written down.
Yeah.
And I've not, and I just keep following
You
you.
have a day well planned?
I have it
I am
well
so
planned. I wanted
So you want to get back
Jamaicans.
to script?
I want to at least complete this. I want you to know that your sovereign God is mindful of your effort, your expenditure of effort. I have to know it myself because when you work for him, he ensures that you are paid. And it is one of the ways that he achieves a redistribution of wealth or a transfer of wealth.
Yes.
And that's really what you're there. Cannot imagine how your circumstances will change, how you're going to become a landowner, how you're going to have ships that ply the oceans, how you're going to own that hotel, whatever you have set your mind on, you're not quite seeing where it will.
Yeah.
Here is what the Lord said he would do for his son, Nebuchadnezzar. He didn't call him his son, we know, although Nebuchadnezzar did get a good lesson and I think he became a son. He described what Nebuchadnezzar, the work that Nebuchadnezzar did in the city of Tyre, wealthy city. He said Nebuchadnezzar caused his army to labor strenuously against Tyre. Yet neither he nor his army received wages from Tyre for the labor which they expended on it. You know, it's kind of like when your parents are, when they're busy chastising you and whipping you into shape, and they say, one day you'll thank me. Meaning,
For the whipping.
of course, they say, one day you'll thank me. When the discipline I force into you cause you to be productive, one day you will thank me, meaning one day you will pay them. So here's the Lord saying, Nebuchadnezzar did a great work on Tyre, whipping them into shape, pulling humility out of them, but they didn't get paid. And the Lord says, surely, 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 I will give the land of Egypt to Nebuchadnezzar. He shall take away her wealth. So this is the transfer of wealth taking place.
Yes.
We are here, we look at the banks. They're so fat that we feel like if the bank fall on us, we would die. There are some industries that have taken. The mining, bauxite and mining industry is one of them. All you see is your wealth being shipped away, taken away. There's a time when that does happen. The wealth is being transferred. It's taken away. Here, Nebuchadnezzar was told, he will take away the wealth, carry off her spoil, remove her pillage, and that will be the wages for his army. But wherever the money goes, that's where it gets spent, and that's where the growth and prosperity will take place. I listed a few things, Lowell, that I want us to talk about as ways by which wealth is distributed. The first one I have is remittance, transfer of wealth. Which is, we're going to talk about the diaspora again.
It's an interesting one because as you said, something just jumped right in my spirit. And you look at what comes into the country by, as remittance, as opposed to what the person, if they were in that country, would have been contributing to the country's income, whatever the case.
Well, that's an easy one because they left because they saw no possibility of a good contribution. And that's how a country is punished. It's people leave when you don't provide a context for their growth.
So it's a loss and not a gain. Because we're seeing...
The country loses when its people goes. But the wealth of the nation where they go and work,
that's the point.
They send a portion of it back. Because that wealth, if you live here, and we suffer from it, with the repatriation. When foreign direct investment comes, they build a hotel, whatever they do, set up a business, and the money that is earned from the output of that business goes to their home country. It does not stay here.
Right.
So it is that when our people go and use their labor building another country, some of that money which they earn is pulled out of that economy and it comes here and it pays school fee, it buy clothes and food, it build house. There are different things that it does.
So from an individual perspective,
Yes.
it's a little bit different because the companies, for example, that will come into your country or our country, set up a business, the bulk of what they earn
goes. Right.
In the case of the individual, the bulk of what they earn, the bulk stays.
Wherever in their place of exile. Yes.
Domicile,
But but there is a portion of it. And why you have to look at remittance as a transfer of wealth is because there's nothing the recipient of that money did in this country to produce it.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes. So a country can grow beyond its actual productive capacity by the influx of monies that's not generated by the application of any energy here. So that's one, which is why the diaspora can have such a tremendous impact.
Yes.
You can see communities that look healthy because people are sending money in, not because there's any productive work going on in those communities. It is also a disruptor. It has a disruptive influence because people will sit down and collect money rather than go out and work, depending on the situation. So I wanted to discuss it from all those angles. Not necessarily on this program, but I'm raising it so we can come back to it.
Yes.
Because the right treatment of it is what is required so a nation can prosper.
The right treatment by whom?
One, by those who receive, those who are
those who
sending.
receive is gonna just spend. 'Cause it's their
Yes, but
family sending money, you know.
yes, but
Assist.
yeah, but that's why we do the work of empowerment.
Yeah.
So persons know if you have been blessed by money that comes through somebody else's work in another jurisdiction, when it comes to you, treat it as though you had spent your own sweat working for it. Don't just, as you say, spend.
Yeah.
Then there's farm work. You send your people out to work in another country where
Whose favorite topic?
yeah, where all the cost of doing business is incurred in that foreign country.
Yeah.
And what comes back to your country is money that you really did not have to, you did not invest. Let's put it that way. You did
we
not
pass the
invest
break.
in generating that revenue.
Sorry, lady. Yes.
That's what happened when the producer is also the co-host.
We'll continue
8:05.
after the break. It's
Yes.
8:05.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Ready? Okay. Welcome back. Yeah, as that adjustment is being made. Welcome back. It's the Morning Connection and it's Free Flowing Thursday at the Legany Club. We're so delighted we have a guest coming up in the next half hour segment. You know that JPS has endeared itself to us as a wonderful partner. But more than anything else, the program we do with them has been the source of so much information and insight. And we're discovering that, they're not so bad after all. And they've been sending us their, I believe, the best of their folks. And to my delight, occasionally they send a man. JPS have a lot of beautiful women who are working at high levels. I am discovering that they do have their own fair share of very competent, professional, and not bad to look at men who form a part of their team. So in a short while, you're going to see Mr. Ricardo Case, and I hope he'll agree with me on all those points. He is the Director of Engineering Services at JPS. And when he comes, we're going to be talking about a look into the future. Last week, I think some of you might still be meditating on the information you got at their recently concluded Developers Forum. They were giving the hard news to developers that if you want to be on the grid and you're building houses, there is some planning and investment and partnership type work that is necessary. We're going to go a little bit more into that when we return.
Yeah, and if I may add, it is such an important thing, that JPS has done, that developers
The forum, yes.
Because you have so many players now in the marketplace, and they don't understand the mechanics of getting the capacity in place in order to facilitate what they're doing.
Yeah, they take it for granted
Yes.
that JPS,
I'm
their
sure
old
we'll
enemy,
speak more about
will
it,
always
but,
be there.
It's very important, and we should pay attention.
Yeah, it's a good thing
pay
to learn.
attention, yeah.
And it's the same for so many things, really.
Yes,
Look
yes,
at our Prime Minister now saying that there's a shortage of skilled labor. You can't be planning an expansion in your hotel industry and you want more houses to be online, on stream for citizens and build. And that's like going into the 2030 dream. If that's your plan, shouldn't you be churning out some workers with all the different skills at least 3-4 years in advance so they can practice their craft and become the experts that you need? So the whole business of planning for growth is something that is important in every level, not just private sector planning, but public sector.
The kind of labor they're speaking of is more among the male population.
Yes.
And we see what's happening with that. You see the challenge I am facing just to get some men to get together, to sit down
And have fun.
yes, and empower each other.
Yeah.
Help you to solve some of the problems that you might have, or you can come and help
Yeah.
to solve some of the problems that others
And you just,
might.
and for you, it's
You
just
cannot find
for
them.
1 hour for the week. 1 hour.
One
Can
single
I
hour.
get 6 men to sit down in a caucus?
And you'll get some.
And I
they'll
know
come,
you struggle with
and
that.
then they disappear. And you're saying, how do you expect to be helped? We're saying we're putting you in an environment where you can interact with someone else, where chances are you might have a problem that somebody in that group can solve.
has
or vice
experience.
versa.
All right, so are we going to say the number to call? Because you
No.
sound like you're
No,
recruiting.
No, I'm not.
You're not recruiting.
Yes, and listen to me. Don't bother with it today, because you have an interest as well, I am sure.
Yes, so one day we will say the number to call.
Yes, we will establish it.
Yeah. But so the whole business of planning smartly
Yes.
and quitting the foolishness, because it's not that Jamaicans don't like to plan. I mean, in another life, I see the level of detail and, hey, you want to get a date with a woman? I see the planning and the strategizing.
Yeah, tell us more about it. Let us hear
You
a
want to
little
get
more
a date
about
with
it.
me? You
No,
gotta
we
plan.
want to hear about the extent of the planning.
Men plan.
Yeah?
Men plan even how they're going to say hello to a woman. I mean, it's amazing the extent you guys will go to. So I know you can plan. But guess why I raised it? True, but here's why I raise it. I raise it because a lot of the reasons we don't plan properly in Jamaica, we have a deep paranoia about people taking your idea and you don't want to tell them too early because they're going to try and mess up your game. And it's from mistrust. It's from, I believe so. As I said, I get that prickle I get when I know I have serious revelation. We do not trust persons who are necessary to work interdependently with us. As partners, we don't trust them with our ideas. We don't trust that they have our best interest at heart. We're accustomed to being betrayed. We're accustomed to them stealing our ideas. I've dealt with people who took their idea to a bank for funding, and the bank refused the funding, and then somebody connected to the bank is building what they're doing.
I'm thinking about what you're saying.
Yes.
And you are correct that there are a lot of persons who will not plan for those reasons. But you know,
No. I'm not saying they don't plan. I'm saying they don't disclose what they
their plan.
need.
Okay,
Because
with you.
hey, they're planning a big
yes,
real estate development that's
Yes.
gonna net him billions.
It's turned
Yet
down by an institution, and next thing you know, somebody else is doing it.
connected to or they come and buy your business, or they starve you out, or like what they did to someone we know. They say, yes, we will lend you, and then they give you 10% of what you want, mess up your business and call the loan,
But, you know, it
and
just
buy
remind me
you
of
up
that,
as on the scrap heap.
of that movie we were watching
Oh yes.
with Jamie Foxx.
Yes. Yes, what was it called again? The
gentleman-
Burial.
The Burial.
The Burial.
Gentleman, sign a deal.
Great movie if you are
Sign
in
a
the
deal
movie business.
with the man and say,
Yeah.
yes, we're gonna do business. I'm gonna. He was gonna invest into.
Then
or
he was gonna
a couple of his
he was gonna
parlors.
buy like 8 of the other
funeral
chain
parlors.
of funeral parlors.
Yes.
And he was gonna sell a few of them and use that money to rejuvenate the others.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was in a field, an area that the man wanted to come into that market. So he was just gonna starve out the other one until he collapsed.
And then just take it.
Strategy.
Believe me, the truth is, it was
Yes.
based on real events.
Yeah. It's a good movie if you guys like
Believe-
Jamie
yeah, man,
Foxx
if
and
you get the chance, watch it.
but
You'll
all that
learn
gonna do now,
something from it.
all that gonna do is some entrepreneur to be is going to say, well, them white people, I won't trust them with my ideas.
Or somebody say, wait, you can't do
Listen
that.
to right, Miss Elaine, who calls us. Hi, Miss Elaine. She always has. She says she has an idea for this, but she can't tell the people because they're motive for her idea.
Yes.
So, when I look at it, I said, not because we don't plan or we don't know how to plan. Because I see people plan, and even in the criminal world, look how them plan.
Yes.
They are deep in the planning of organized crime.
You
So,
see, by the way, Earl Brown is
Oh,
up.
hold on.
Welcome, Earl.
so it's not a lack of
Yes,
capacity.
Earl is,
What's
Earl
going
is up,
on?
so- and Earl has things to say about
Let me see what he's saying about the planning.
Yes.
I was not looking.
Jeanette
Oh
Lawrence
boy.
enjoying the looks of those
Handsome JPS men.
All right.
Well, listen,
Tell you,
if
this
someone,
is a setup.
yeah, but if someone is handsome and you don't enjoy the looks, the handsomeness wasted. So, beauty is to be admired, right, Earl?
Yes.
And Delroy Henry says, in his view, Jamaica is heading in the wrong direction. This administration run out of ideas and care. Oh, he says we have the worst PM to ever be appointed to that office. This guy trashes our country with corruptions. That is a real hardship right now.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Some other things. Delroy is telling us about, let's see, somebody who was. Oh, Lowell, kudos to you. Mr. Henry says that the sound quality coming from the Thursday morning location has improved.
Oh, all right, my brother.
And
Thank
Delroy,
you for the
you are
feedback, yeah.
always having the same kind of weather. He says they're having the same kind of weather
Oh.
in the UK. As boy, I tell you, it just looked very grim out here.
In other words, things are normal.
Things are normal. Oh
Anyway,
boy.
we won't tease him, my
Yeah.
brother.
All right. So before we take the break, like 2 minutes, I was going through the different ways that wealth, the transfer of wealth, because for those who are not following the prophetic movements, there's a transfer of wealth that is coming. You can have a redistribution within Jamaica, there will be redistribution of wealth. Those who have are going to see it walk across the table to those who don't have. But, you know, there are things we need to do to be in position. So we are amongst those who receive. You don't want to see your wealth walking through the door because that's coming up also. So just looking at it, the one that I am just skipping the line and going to It's a word I learned from Pastor Al. The doings of God.
Yes.
That's how God does it. There is a place in his plan for wealth to move from here so to go over there so, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. I always want people to be prepared to receive because there's an attitude and a position for receiving. If you turn your back, you're not going to receive because receiving takes place through the hands. And even if they throw it at you, because sometimes things are thrown at you, if you let it fall to the ground and rot, yeah, don't.
Yes.
So there, in the movements of God, he appoints a time when those who have done his work faithfully and did not get paid. That's why scripture tells you, do not grow weary in doing well.
All right. And we will not allow Lord
Lord to be vexed with us. All right.
Lloyd, we're going to take the break.
We'll take the break now.
When we come back,
Yeah.
be our JPS guest.
Welcome back. Here we are. It's the Ligony Club, free flowing Thursday, and you're listening to the Morning Connection on Best 100 FM. With us at the table, am I seeing him?
Yes.
Mr. Case, Ricardo Case. Not the first time with us, so you already know. He knows his stuff. He's the Director of Engineering Services at our local light and power company, JPS. And we're very fortunate to have you, Mr. Case. I was worried that the weather might put you off electricity and water.
But we work in all conditions, so it's good to be here and
That's the new
good to be with you
tagline.
again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Last week, we had other members of your team who spoke to us about the developers conference recently concluded. I, of course, with my techie self, thought it was for software developers, only to discover you actually meant people developing real estate.
Yeah.
So, was that the first of its kind for you, that you participated in?
No, this is not the first of its kind that I participated in. So we typically have had these developers forum over time. We kind of broke because of COVID and came back. So for different reasons, we engaged with this particular stakeholder group because it's a significant part of our business as well, right? And prior to COVID, things were working fine. You know, the issues that we had weren't at the scale that we're finding now, right? But one of the things that we realize now, during and coming out of COVID, two things happening. We're having the construction boom in Jamaica, and then we're having the supply chain challenges. So you have two things going in opposite direction. Right? And then in between all of that, confusion, people running over each other, and you have conflict.
And costs going up.
So the conference really was to bring everybody in the room and explain to them what was happening, what we are doing as a company, and how we can help and how they can help themselves.
So tell me, how has it been received? Not just in terms of attendance, but in terms of the content that you have
that you shared.
So several aha moments came up during the conference, right?
Yes.
And discoveries were made because of it. So one of the things that persons realize is that they took it for granted that JPS, they didn't have to contact us early. That was a significant thing.
Yeah.
So we used to get a lot of persons now, developers, large developers, we're talking even hotels, persons doing housing schemes, and that's the scale I'm talking about now. Where, they invest millions of dollars and they get to the point now where they need to hand over these developments, they're burning money and interest, right? And
purchases are
we
at the
cannot
door.
move faster than we can move.
Right.
Because when we design a project, we measure the delivery time in the project schedule, right? So everything just became this big boiling and whatnot, right? So they would have gone into talking to parish council, they went to water commission, they do all of those other things except JPS.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm tempted to ask you this because I'm always curious about business to government relationship. A critical service provider as JPS would typically have access to the kind of information coming out of even local government concerning growth. Does that exist? Is that an area of what you do? So even if the developer doesn't get to you early enough, because he has an approved set of drawings, you would typically have an idea that he's coming on stream. The part though that I believe most developers might be slow on is the cost implications for them when they do come on stream. Even if you knew they were coming, what does it involve for a developer? Even one who is coming to you late.
Okay, so typically we would have to do a field visit, do a design, quote that customer, and after the customer pays, then we develop a schedule for that project
to fit them into your,
and that construction schedule would contemplate material, labor, and everything else.
Yes.
Right? And that usually is where the problem. So the first part works fine enough. But then when you get to the construction phase is where you have the challenge.
Yes.
Right? So we have a quick turnaround between approving designs, quoting the customers and whatnot. But then if we do not have the stock here already, and we have to order it,
And I heard,
we're
I
having
noted
delays.
you say after they've paid.
Yeah, after they've
So
paid.
even if you're prepared generally to increase your capacity for this new customer,
Right.
until that customer pays
Pays.
you to put them, I see that's where
But you know,
that's where the interaction becomes critical.
yeah. Question for you. And before the question, the Water Commission, my understanding, right, if my memory serves me right, is that that approval, they need to get that as well, because the development cannot proceed
Yeah.
Without
Water
available,
Commission approval.
yes.
Wouldn't it help then if a similar approval is needed from JPS before the project can proceed? So that you eliminate that problem.
So Water Commission is a little different because it water is kind of tied to the land itself. So they do that very early. So Water Commission is engaged very early in all of these projects, right? So I mean, ours could work that way, and maybe we might get more efficiency from it.
Yes.
But so many things can change between when that early
approval.
consultation and when the project actually materializes. We've had persons who speak to us like 5 years before a project is even developed, right? Several things can change on the network in that time. On the water side, the scale of change is not as fast as on the electricity side.
Yeah, but also the last time when your other team were here, we got into a very interesting exchange concerning the company's ability to proactively prepare for this new business.
Right.
Because you wouldn't spend your own money stockpiling transformers and building out
Tools
a
and
capacity
everything.
that sits idle. So the critical part, Lowell, I'm saying now is when the developer enters into a commercial relationship on the development, because it is after they pay
Right.
that you actually begin to place orders and to fit them in. And developers don't want to pay for anything earlier than they have to, because it, as you say, sometimes it's borrowed money.
Borrowed money.
And it has serious implications.
Do you have a situation where there's follow-up from your company if a developer should approach you and say, I'm going to start in 6 months? Do you assign someone to that to follow up to ensure that you don't have that lag?
Yeah, man.
Like the new business,
So
yeah.
customer service does that. So typically, the customers, a developer would normally apply through our customer service first. That's the first point of contact, and then they pass that application to us,
The engineering
the
division.
engineering team,
Yes.
right? So we work very closely with and we have an application that manages the whole thing. So they would put the application on, and then we would start processing it, right? A lot of, to be honest with you, right now we have like a 1 in 2, maybe 1 out of
One
every
in
2
Goes forward.
goes forward.
Yeah.
So we have a 50%. So we burn up a lot of resources doing quotations and estimates
For
and all
some-
of these things
yes,
for projects that don't
That
materialize.
don't go
right?
any further.
And that's kind of some of the things I'm going to speak to you about when we're talking about the future, right?
Right.
But we do have input from large. So, for example, we might get a development order or a development plan for what's happening in maybe Portland, St. James, and all of these
Cayman
things.
Estates.
Cayman Estates. So we get those things, a lot of them early.
Yes.
The ones that you have the challenges with are like the ones that pop up, right? So, for example, you have a new townhome complex or a new high-rise building that a developer just starts. And all of these things are going
just
to
like
require.
that.
Yeah, because
And then if you
because
have
as I said, with the boom,
5, 6, or 7 of them,
with the boom,
cumulatively.
it's not structured, it's not
Yeah.
ordered, it's happening, so
Haphazardly.
right. And I'm sure my colleagues would have told you last week that we're actually pre-purchasing now our 2025
Yes,
stock.
they did. They
Right,
did because of
Right?
the
Just because of what we're seeing, because the time it's gonna take so long to
So
come
when you do
anyway.
that pre-purchase, that's from monies under your regulated income
business.
stream.
Yeah.
So you're also constrained by the regulatory framework.
Constrained by the
somewhat.
regulatory framework
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
You have the
don't have a-
danger of
But the
next
thing is
stop.
that it's the
Well, 50%. I think they're
so the
upward.
scene, so what happened? Remember, a lot of these materials are consumed in the business.
Precisely.
It's just that we have
Yeah.
some specialized ones For example, you have the Pegasus going up, or you have the one on Belmont Road here going up, right?
Yes.
Those require specialized type transformers and whatnot.
Yes, that you
So
don't
those
typically
you don't typically use in the regular, in the routine business.
So
Right?
those people need to order it, pay for it.
Those things we need to have in the pipeline, because those take a long time to manufacture and deliver.
Yeah.
Right? The pole mounted transformers, poles, all of those things will consume in the business. But even so, there are shortages on those.
Yeah,
That's a
so
little thing that's creeping my spirit. I don't want to
let's
ask
see
you.
if we need
Yeah.
to beat it down.
You buy these things from third parties, not supply them. Would it make sense for JPS to get into manufacturing of some of these things?
And I'm happy you said that, because we have a new president now, and he asked the very same question.
Right.
So he has challenged us to look at on that, right? Typically, we stick to our strengths, right, which really is not manufacturing transformers, but he has asked us to look on it because maybe there's an opportunity coming out of this.
Yeah. Right. Last week we were speaking about that, you know, what business opportunities, vertical opportunities exist, because you can't have a problem like this without it creating a serious
But
business
I want
opportunity.
to tell you too that the challenge, you know, is even on the supply of the raw materials, you know. So not just so even some of the people who we would buy from,
So your suppliers,
they have challenges even with the raw materials as well.
Yes.
So it's a real,
It's a huge problem.
huge problem.
All right. So what's in the future then, where this huge problem is concerned?
So I am so happy that you asked about the future, because you know what? I love talking about the future.
Well, that's the
Right.
prophetic part of our life.
And what I like about talking about the future is that we get to fix it today. Right? So meaning that when we contemplate the future, the steps that we make now are actually
Determined. Yes,
fixing
we'd
it.
like
So
to
we're
talk
fixing
about
it forward.
We talk about seed time and harvest.
Right.
So we're planting now.
Exactly. So
All right.
so you were, I heard you talking before. I mean, you and I were talking before we came on here about collaboration.
Yes.
Right? And in my world, there's something what we call a common operating picture. And the common operating picture now is that COP
Yes.
is everybody who is a stakeholder in this should have a view and a process that is transparent to them, and it should be a platform that they can collaborate on. So for example, if you're building a building like this, you have mechanical engineers, you have electrical engineers, you have plumbing, you have the architects, you have everybody who is in it.
Yes, you even have
who
the
can
landscape.
collaborate
Even the landscape
in a real
artist
way.
is there.
In a real way,
Yes.
right? So all of that requires a platform that allows you to do that type of collaboration, right? So one of the things that we're actually doing now, we're actually putting in that platform.
Oh, so now we're talking technology.
We're talking technology, which is right up your sleeve.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the architectural engineering and construction, or the AEC space, there a whole lot of digital transformation is actually taking place.
Yes.
Right? Which fosters this collaboration and project management. So collaboration at the start in terms of defining what your projects are, right? In real time, and managing that project through the various phases.
Right.
So you can enter the pipeline early with just even some of the things that you're talking about with your plans. Your plans become visible. Your plans, you start working on the plans together, harmonizing water, electricity, roads, everybody in one platform, one space.
Yeah, and the platform does that for you. You
Yes.
don't have to
Yes. So there are other
manually
things,
fit
there are
the
other
pieces
things that you have to
together.
put on
Yes.
top of the
So
platform.
who would
for
own
it to
this
work.
platform?
So the good thing about the platform now is that it is almost everywhere already.
Ubuntu.
It's almost everywhere already. So the platform that we're building is built on our GIS,
Yes.
Geographical Information System. So
Yeah.
anybody who has a GIS will be able to collaborate on the platform,
Right.
right? Because all designs are really done.
Is this unique to Jamaica? Is
It's
this an
not.
innovation?
No, that's
It's
what
not.
he's saying.
It's
Yeah.
not. So we are actually now bringing
I mean,
this
as a
forward.
power company,
All right.
for the power company to be integral in establishing this platform.
All right, so I'm happy you asked,
Yeah.
and I will go and go there, right? So here it is now, that this platform that we have, we're actually procuring now. So we have created a project team and that project team basically is in the process of procuring that project. It will be maybe a 6 months project, right?
Yeah.
So it contains the engineering and all the design tools that you need to extend our distribution network for service.
Yes.
So you and I were talking about relay and baton changes, right? Now in that same platform, right, with other tools, let's say somebody who is in the mechanical engineering plumbing space who is doing a building, they could actually model their building
right in there
in the same platform, do the connection, and everything works out.
So would this be a licensed product?
Yes, I'm happy. You know, I like you. Minute I tell you, you're going.
Some people gonna say I like you too, but you know what?
So the thing is now, what we are doing now. When we put this platform in, we're going to be using it for all our core designs.
Yes.
So we're migrating now. We've actually migrated our GIS to the cloud already, right? And when we put this platform in with all the design tools, all our engineers will be using this to do our design. So we're not doing hand-drawn designs, AutoCAD designs, and those things anymore. So we're doing the designs within the GIS, right? So with that now, you basically can turn a project around fast. And this will be integrated now into our inventory management system, right?
Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
So when we
get excited.
Yes, so when we would be able to quote a customer with certainty, because we at that point now will know that we have the material is in stock, or at least when the material
when
is
it will
coming.
come and have your product.
As a technology person, I am curious. I can see the benefit in terms of turning around the designs and so on. And so forth. Let's talk about the cost benefit. Is there a cost benefit to the person?
You know, you guys are on the ball. You know why I like it? So the thing is, the cost benefit goes right across the board, both for the company and the person who is submitting. A lot of time is saved, right? So for example, right now we have a process where we have a whole lot of iteration between external designers and us, where even designs are rejected because they don't meet the standard. Right? Here now you're eliminating all of that because you're doing the designs within the same tool. So for example, you get the spatial coordination, you get the accuracy up front, and the precision up front.
The human element and the opportunity for error is reduced.
Eliminate that. We on our hand now, we don't have to drive to a site to do a design anymore. Because we now will use all the tools and the power that comes from the GIS, which is a geospatial system.
Plug and play system.
It's absolutely.
So it allows us to extend our network just using the topology.
You can stay in America and plan your building.
So people who, for example, are familiar, maybe some of your listeners don't know what we're talking about, but if you're familiar with, say, Google Maps, and you do,
let me tell
directions.
You, some of my listeners are right now saying, AI has come and taken the jobs. Now they're saying, see, I told you.
Well, I like it.
Because we see, and that's having the right understanding
I like it.
of how man benefits from the use of technology. This is
in fact,
a
I'm
great,
excited.
a great area.
And realize that you will never replace a human being.
Exactly.
All you have to do is help him to refocus.
And give him more time to do things that he really want to do.
You know?
More time to worship
So
God.
I want to come to the subscription thing
Yes.
because you touched on it, right?
Go ahead,
So when we're going to offer after we get it robust and everything, because a whole lot of things have to be done to configure it, have it ready. So we are going to basically offer it as a subscription service now, because you have a lot of designers out there who are doing these designs, right? And they now will have all of our network, all of our resources to do their designs, evaluate it up front before they even submit it to us, right? So first, we haven't worked out the fees yet or anything, but it will be a subscription.
And I'm sure you'll have a trial period where
you did say that it
with a friends and family discount.
The approval process.
Yes, because you have
All
a
the
collaboration up front.
Yes.
So remember, anything that goes, so for example, even if you have a project in 2027, you would be able to go on the system now and start working on
start
it.
working.
That becomes visible to us.
Yes.
You have the opportunity to collaborate
Yeah.
and ensure that your project is
Let me
can be satisfied.
Let me jump into a concurrent stream, because on the 1st of December, the Data Protection Act comes into place.
Yeah.
Takes effect. It's already here. And everything you do that concerns people's commercial proprietary data, the risk goes up, because if it is leaked and if anything, whatever, there are some huge penalties and so on.
Right.
No, that's not a fair question for you, but is there a lively awareness that this new approach is taking you into territory where one lawsuit and it finished?
You asked a good question. So there's a whole lot. So you wouldn't be able to see if you're a subscriber on the platform, you wouldn't be able to see somebody else's. Right?
Right.
And the thing is that because we have proprietary information on our network, that
Already
gives us
anyway.
competitive advantage.
Yes.
Not everything within our network will be available to you either. Right? And then one of the things that we're contemplating, because we do this now.
Will this require persons to give you information that you wouldn't normally get?
Yes. And
that's
some of the information
where you have to be
some of the information. So
exceptionally
typically,
careful.
so what I'm telling you, we are doing this now
Yes.
through non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
Right? So every time something